This episode, utilizing the tech tools you already have. Well, Johnny's a tech guy. The other day, he was teaching me a few things about how to use the tech that I already have. And I said to myself, you know what? A show is born. So we decided we would talk about tech tools that you already have and how to maximize them. Welcome to the Handyman Pros radio show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros radio show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Tech Tools. Utilizing the tech tools that you already have. And to help me explain, it's my ever technical guy, buddy, Johnny. Johnny, what's going on this week? What's been happening?
Sounds like you're going to need a little help here.
I'm having a tough time figuring out how to use the microphone. We've only done this, 350, 400 episodes? I don't even know anymore.
I don't know. You need a new teleprompter?
Pause. Think about it, folks. You'll figure it out. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway.
Well, one of the things that had come up, somebody asked me, I think it was a comment that came back about using some technology. And I thought, we did a show on this before, and I thought, things changed a little bit, so let's kind of review some of this stuff to help our brethren out there, smooth things out, make it easier for them.
All right. So. Well, before we dive right in, just remember, if you would please like and subscribe our show, both on YouTube and on whatever podcast listener you're listening to. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, send us an email, questions at Handyman Pros Radio Show. It really helps the algorithms decide what people want to listen to, and so hopefully we're trying to get the word out. Thanks for that. Johnny, let's dive into this one. I'm letting you lead this one because you know way more than I do.
Well,
just straight away.
I don't want to say, when put it that way, I think I just am I think just a little bit disciplined on using some of the technology, so I thought, we could review some of the things that I do. Mm-hmm. And it's, everybody's got this technology. It's nothing new. You really don't have to buy anything that you don't already have. But it's just one of the things that I just kind of got into a groove, and it just helps me smooth a lot of things out. It saves me a lot of time, for one thing, when I'm putting, doing either estimates or doing the job, and then, assembling an invoice. So, a multi-day event in our case, there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. And I think just from the standpoint of, I think the more detail the invoice is, that, I put a lot of comments together in the invoice, and I think you do too.
Yeah, I do.
And a lot of notes in those sections, because it shows the customer that, you're really on top of things, number one, and number two is that if anything ever happens, I can go back now and those notes are for me too. So I go back and look at it.
Use them for. Yeah, mm-hmm. Personally, it's more the notes for me, so I know what I've done in the home, because my clients tend to be long-lasting clients. I have them more, multiple times, and I just kind of can go backwards and say, hey, I did this, I did that, I did the next thing, kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I use it for. For in terms of kind of the verbose stuff inside those comments, but people really appreciate it. And then I'm thinking, well, that's great, and I store that stuff, and like my job, if I ever get called back for something, I know exactly what I did. And because you're doing stuff all the time, you don't know can't remember that what went on.
You do tend to, after enough time, you kind of tend to merge jobs in one into the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you just do. It's just drywall's drywall. You can't remember where it is, where it was. Same thing with electrical, plumbing,
right?
Whatever, really whatever. So yeah, so that's why it's really important. It's important to stay organized, and it makes you more professional too. It really does, and it just helps. It helps keep you organized, keep you know what you've done. It helps you identify potential problems to a degree. If you've done something, for example, I always use these toilet valve examples, but if you've changed a toilet valve out and you're back 3 months later to change a toilet valve out, it's a possible indication of a PRV valve that's bad, right?
Yeah.
You know, a pressure
Yeah.
relief valve, kind of that kind of stuff. There's like some things
Yeah.
that good record keeping will help you head off. Another thing is any kind of water leak or anything. If you've done any kind of plumbing and somebody's water bill goes through the roof, you know, maybe well,
Yeah,
I mean, you understand
like we
what I
just
mean,
did.
right? Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So, you know, it's good to you know, kind of remember that. So let's kind of let me bring up a quick little PowerPoint here.
Johnny's use of technology is amazing, folks. I'm just saying.
So let's just kind of walk through this a little bit. You know, like what I had mentioned before. Everybody's got their, you know, smartphones. You know, everybody I think now has some kind of cloud drive.
I hope so.
Yeah. Earbuds, you know,
In some form or another.
in some form or fashion or another. You know, and then your choice of software. And it all runs, you know, now that you don't need to be on a computer anymore. I mean, on your phone, it's all, you know, it's all over the internet and things like that. So, I mean, it's just, it just makes it so convenient now to stay organized. I think it's just a matter of just kind of putting your mind to using it and you know, having a little bit of discipline.
As I always say too, the other thing is don't forget these are the library of the world.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, for me, it keeps me organized.
Right.
You know, it saves me a ton of time.
So get into some examples, John. Tell us like what do you do to what are your systems for staying organized?
Yeah. So let's just get into this. You know, with a smartphone and earbuds and the cloud drives. Okay, you know, what I do is, you know, I'm taking pictures all the time. I can dictate notes using my earbuds. You know, I don't know what kind. You know, I'm not an Android guy. I'm an iPhone guy, but it works the same way, I'm sure, in the Android world. You know, on our little earbuds, you know, these are what I have. I mean, there's a bunch of varieties. You got the same ones, Larry. You know, if you hold the button in on the side, you know, I got one of these things in my ear the whole day. You know, whether I'm listening to a podcast while I'm working or I'm, you know, whatever it might be, right? Handyman podcast.
Yeah. Right.
And but you know, if you hold the button in, you can start talking to SIRI, and
right.
you can ask SIRI to take a note.
Right.
So I'm under a sync. And I'm just dictating measurements. I'm making lists, you know, and I'm just material lists and what I'm doing and things like that real quick. And I'm taking pictures, and I'm not even writing anything down. And I'm hands free. I'm still working.
Well, you're writing things down, but the AI is doing it for you.
Yeah, right? It's dictating into a note, right? So
right.
You can learn how to do this. I'm not going to, you know, go through all that, how, you know, each one of these things, you know, you can activate, but
we'll give Johnny's phone number out at the end. So
yeah, please. Yeah. Especially printer problems. I love those.
I did
but
that
you know,
you know, I got to tell you, I did that yesterday. So anyway, keep going.
Well, you can ask for calculations. You know, you got the internet. You can ask for information. This is just using earbuds, right? And I store all of this stuff when I can get my hands on it. Is you know, in the cloud drive, and I'm going to explain that in a second. You know, on the other side of things, it's your software apps out there. You know, we've got a certain accounting app that we use for our business. You use the same one.
Yep.
You know, calendars, right? I mean, guys, you know, you can go out and spend a lot of money, and we had this conversation before, and we got some feedback on this. Is you can go out and spend some money on different applications that do all these things combined, and that's fine. I find it just, for me, just as easy just to use some individual things like the calendar and things like that to do my scheduling. It's not all integrated together in like one application, but I know, you know, I heard back on that from some of you guys, you know, which one's the best, but you know, it's up to you.
I think those are questions of scale.
Yeah, exactly.
And so John, just so y'all know, John and I are at, you know, basically in the twilight of our careers. While I work more than John does, but we both look at cost dollar cost analysis and things. So if we're going to spend money on some kind of integrated program, it needs to give us a payback. And for us, we don't do.
Good point.
How do I want to say it? We don't really have enough job. We have enough jobs, but we have a very limited number of clients. If I had twice as many clients as I have right now, I would have some sort of integrated program, but I don't. And I'm not moving in that direction. So it's not, for me, it's not a worthwhile investment.
No, that's a great point.
But that's not to say it's not a valuable tool. But I do it like you do, John. I use I just use Google Calendars. It works great for me.
Yeah, and so we share a calendar, guys.
Right.
Larry and I share a calendar, so that's our scheduling. That's our scheduling app. Here's one that it's the ability to access documents. It's always with you. Don't overlook that. Somebody might be asking for your insurance documents and things like that. You don't have to carry all the documents anymore. And here's I can email it to you. I can show it to you. I can, whatever right there. And, obviously the GPS is invaluable. The big box apps. I am telling you, I'm using this all the time as I walk through. Before I even go into Lowe's or go to one of these big box stores, I'm already know what aisle, what bin I got to get in and get out.
I can't tell you how valuable those are. Those big box apps are. We've done a show on them already.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I want to reiterate that. You go into those big box stores, those stores are big, and some of that stuff is not that easy to find, particularly kind of, I don't know, like plumbing for sure. Like if you try to go find, just for example, you go try to find like a pressure relief valve. It's a really small section, and it's usually very much at the bottom. It's kind of out of the way, and you don't really know where it is. And so at least it narrows it down to one row and one section, which in a big box store is a lot. Same thing with like screws and any kind of fasteners, because there's so many, and those things are invaluable. They're just invaluable.
Well,
Save a ton of time.
Well,
and aggravation.
Exactly. And if you're on a job and you need materials, guess what? I'm not going to go roam around in a Home Depot or a Lowe's or whatever it is, not knowing where stuff is. I can go right to my phone, and I can also bring up if they've even got it in stock.
Yeah, if it's in stock.
So that saves me. That saved me trips before.
Yeah.
Knowing that it may not be at that one, but if I go 2 more miles, I might be able to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The other thing I use on my phone all the time, and I don't know is the calculators. Now, I'm not talking about 1 + 1. I'm talking about fractions. There's a fraction calculator out there that I use all the time, because I'm not going to work out fractions like I was, like I'm in sixth grade. I mean, those days are. I'm just plugging in, 10 and 3/4 inches minus 5/16, whatever it might be, and it comes up with the fraction, not a decimal.
I'll tell you another one I use a lot, Johnny, is the angle indicator
on the phone.
On the phone. Yep, on the phone. So you can set. These are free apps that you can get. Just type in. There's a bunch of different ones. Pick whichever one you want. But basically, you set the phone on whatever it is that you want the angle. It gives you the angle, like in degrees.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, and it really works. I mean, they really work. They're great for like if you're doing roofing and or any kind of angle on a cut where you're not 100% sure, and you just want to check. You can check it. It's easy peasy. It works. They work great. It works great. It's really one of those things that's like, wow, okay, great. We got, hey, when you need it is what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, I don't know, I know Larry for the mileage that all of on your truck, all that mileage, you use for your, end of year accounting. Okay.
Because I really don't drive my truck for personal use. So
exactly. So for those of us that use stuff on personal and, there's mileage loggers on there. Yep. And it keeps track of, every time you get in the car, where you're going and things like that. Like, just ask the NSA. They'll tell you too. I just at the end of the year, I can just print all this out, make sure that's all correct. It's either personal or business. And then I can do that for taxes. Then I can submit that with my taxes.
Yeah, which makes life so much easier.
It's you don't even have to think twice about,
no,
logging the trips and things like that. And then, inventory and like that home contents app.
Yes.
and track warranties and things. And this folks, it's great for your own use, but also for your customers.
Right.
And, this what I'm trying to build here is an easy way to help yourself stay organized and help the customer too, so that you could be, one of the big things here is to be the trusted advisor. You're going to have build a lot of knowledge about the customer, what they've got, what you've done for them, and all those kind of things. So, and I've had this happen to me where they've called me, and I do this, like your toilet thing, right? Your story about that.
Right.
You do certain jobs again and again and again for different customers, and you can't remember which one.
No, you really can't.
So,
Yeah, you do enough. Trust me, you change out the guts to enough toilets, or you do enough toilets, you'll be like, I don't even. And then even think about it this way, Johnny. Even in a home, right? Here's a tip: make sure you mark out which toilet you actually do. So if you did the upstairs bathroom toilet, mark down upstairs bathroom. Don't write bathroom toilet, because there's or 2 or 3 or 4 in the house, right? So make sure you mark down which one you actually do. So, and then, because the other side is customers will come in and say, hey, the toilet's leaking. Well,
which one?
And then it's for example, if it's a Kohler toilet, and folks, if you don't know this, I'm going to tell you, but it's kind of common knowledge in the toilet land business. Each Kohler, if you don't have the model number, you won't get the parts. Well, let me rephrase that. You won't get the right parts. You'll get parts, and then you'll go back and go, this is for the 1, 2, 3 toilet, not the 1, 2, 3, 4 toilet. Because
I've run into this before.
But Kohler in particular they have a series of different toilets, and they all have a different single little O-ring that you look at it and you really can't tell the difference, but it won't seat right. So you need the toilet number. So
exactly. And it doesn't even just go for the toilet. I mean, plumbing in general is kind of a pain in that regard. It's like, what faucet you got? What part? It's incredible.
It's incredible.
It'll drive you up a wall. So utilize the technology if you can to stay organized on that one, because I take a lot of pictures with a ruler in the picture.
Yeah, and keep notes.
Keep notes.
If they had, like, just for example, I know when my clients, if they have a Kohler toilet, like let's say they've got an American, and this happens, right? They don't necessarily have Kohler all through the house, but if they've got a Toto in one place and an American Standard in another place and a Kohler, I make sure to make notes on what model the Kohler is. Now I know the American Standards, and I know the Totos will be all what we would call standardized, because they use a ball and flapper type technology. Or most of them do. And if they don't, then I make notes on that too. What technology is in there? Because there's different technologies for toilets today. We're not going to get into why. I really don't really know why. I think because some engineer somewhere has to figure out a way to make their sales.
Yeah, there's always it's
better, really.
But the better mousetrap.
Yeah, but anyway, be that as it may, what that creates for us is, as a handyman or working on your own home, is it creates this parts nightmare, and you just don't want to be running back and forth for what should be very, very simple processes. And having a model number is how you get around that. Same thing with appliances too. If you're ever looking for appliance parts, you've got to have the model number, and you better get the serial number while you're at it. That's less so for toilets, but it's much more so for appliances. Get the serial number, and usually they're on a door. They're someplace kind of accessible. So we can get into that on a different show.
Yeah,
you want those numbers, and for us as handymen, as professional handymen, I keep those numbers down. I keep, if I look at them, I keep them. I snap a picture, I put it in their file. It's just that simple. It's really that, or I put it on an invoice. Same thing. To me, that's the same thing, because the file's all the same. So
let's kind of walk through, what I do. And guys, you can, comment on this and give us some feedback, and, you can help me out on making things easy. But, let's say I get a call from a prospect or a customer, two different things going on here. I'm going to start a file. I immediately start a file in my cloud drive so that I can get to that anywhere. So I can get back in my office, gives me flexibility to sit in front of a real computer and get access to information, or I can be on site and access that information, whatever. But, I'll ask for pictures. I know you do too, Larry. Before you go out, if they can snap some pictures about what's going on, it helps us build materials, know what we're going to get ourselves into. Maybe organize some tools before we go out, whatever it might be. But I'll put those pictures in there. I'm putting everything underneath there in that folder.
Yeah, I had this happen just yesterday, actually. Customer calls me and says, can you repair a header on a window? And I was like, okay, but what does that mean, right? So I said, would you please shoot me a picture of the header? She had a bunch of other things, hanging pictures and stuff. That's never really an issue. So she snaps me a picture of the header, and it's not the header to the window, it's the header to the blinds. So that was very, very simple, but that clarification, I needed that because it could have been the header, it could have been a drywall issue, it could have been a lot of different things. And so that was very much a clarification that I needed by having them just snap a picture with their phone and send it to me. And so it really helped because I was like, oh, that one's really easy. I can do that one, kind of thing. So.
Absolutely, and if I can, I'm going to start taking notes. And if I'm on site, I might be just talking to myself, talking to Siri and just doing it that way while I'm looking at stuff. Because what I found is that if I carry a notebook around with me, I got something in my hands, and I've also, what I'm doing is I've got, an inspection flashlight. Well, it's like, I only got two hands and I want to take notes. And if I don't take notes immediately, I'm going to forget stuff.
So here's one thing. This is a tip that I do. This starts back at the time when you actually set the appointment. So I set the appointment. Let's just say it's, September 10th, 2024, right? But what I add in Google, the Google organization, the Google Calendar allows me to do this. I can add in the address, which is really important because that crosses over to Google to the Maps program, right? So that I don't have to go searching for their address. I put their address, I put their phone number in there. Then I put the notes in under the listing. So if I need a quick reference, I can look at it and say, oh, I'm doing this, and this. And I add that all in the listing at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I put in the time. I put in the estimated time of what I think it's going to take. Is it going to be all day? Is it going to be a half a day? Is it whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. But that way I can look at my calendar in one look and I get a rough idea of what the job entails. And if I need something special, I might mark that in there, or I might mark that. I mark things into my, like if I need something from a big box store, I call it the Home Depot list, but could be Home Depot, Lowe's. I should call it the big box store list. But if I need something special, I put it on that list so that the next time I'm in the store, I know I need a dimmer switch, which is something that I'm not going to buy all the time, and I don't carry it as inventory. Hard to believe in my truck that I don't have one, but I don't.
Yeah. Yep.
But I put all that in so that I can go to the job prepared as best possible, right?
No, and you just brought up a great point. What I use all the time is I create a list and I call it my big box list.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And it's in my reminders. And guys, you can look at this and how it works on your phone, but on the iPhone, it works as either a list or a reminder, and you can make a list. You can, right. And then if you call it that, you can just now when I go and I talk to Siri and I just say, put this on my big box list, put this on my big box list. And I can say, I need 20 feet of 2x4, this kind, and it's so accurate. It's unbelievable. And it's all boom, 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 boom. So when I'm at a job, I can just be talking about material lists.
But I do have a question, Johnny. I've read your list. I really want to know what oh shit is.
That's the old shit list? The shit list.
John, that's a joke, folks. I'll tell you another thing that I do with my phone in particular. The notes section, and I have an iPhone, yep. And I have notes, right? And my customers will share their notes with me.
Oh,
so
good idea.
So my longstanding customers that I do like regular jobs are like I have several customers that I go to every 3 to 6 months. I just on a regular basis, we go through their to-do list every 3 to 6 months. Well, they keep that list themselves and share it with me. And I can watch I look the next time that they like, I literally can
There
look
you
at their
go. Another
lists
good
and
tip.
kind of I can sort of see where I'm going to be scheduling them because of how fast they're adding items and also how much time it takes for various different things. And then they also put the little circles there. So when I finish it, I can check it off and it's done. Right. And boy, that's a feature. If you can,
It's shareable
yeah,
lists,
a
shareable
shareable
lists,
list
shareable notes.
is really nice.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
that's a
nice.
good tip.
It's just great because there's no there might be questions that I ask, but those are in the weeds questions. But I know going forward, they've got, I don't know, they need a door shaved or they need, any number of things, the lights flickering, but they just keep this running list because of one of the things that I give people a real break if they hire me by the day. So they're kind of building a day's worth of work. And so that we'll just work it right down, and then I take a look at them every once in a while. I go, well, we're coming up on about a day, just FYI, and they're like, oh, great, let's schedule it, blah, 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 that kind of thing. But it's really helpful walking into a job knowing you've got 10 things to do or 5 things to do or whatever, and you have a kind of this idea of what is actually on that list and like how much time is it going to take. And then also I have them prioritize it if they want, what's the biggest priority.
Yeah, folks, that is Larry just brought up a great tip right there. These you can share lists, you can share notes, and that's awesome. And the other thing that you can do at that point, Larry, is just cut and paste all that back into the invoice, and it's all
absolutely.
and now you've got a whole history of what you've done.
They'll send me pictures of things they want installed, like for example, a sink or an outlet or whatever. Say a faucet, right? Well, we want to do the faucet, and I say, okay, well, which one are you thinking about? Do you want to buy it or do you want me to buy? Well, why don't you buy it? And they'll send me
A picture of what, yeah,
the one they want.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. This is
yeah,
easy. Then
right.
I go to my big box app and find out where it is, and I know which aisle it's in. And I grab the one they want, and out we go. And they know the price. I know the price. All's good. We just pass the cost right on. There's no surprises there. Blah blah blah. Right? It's just another quick little tech tip.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's a good discussion right there, folks, of the real world of using this stuff. I mean, I think if you look at if you think about before the iPhone and before some of these things, what a pain.
Yeah, your acquisition time, particularly for materials, was much longer, and also it lends to clarity with the customer for exactly what they want, and it gives you the ability to kind of plan how to do it. Because some things are easy, some things are harder, but it also can spur a conversation on, tell me exactly what you're really thinking about on this particular item, right?
Yeah.
And you get into the weeds on it about what their vision is, as we always talk about. I try to fulfill people's visions, and so if they have a particular vision on something, I need to know before I get there because it's helpful.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh no, that's awesome. And like I said, what we're talking about here is making things very easy and staying organized, because post work, it becomes really easy. You can. If you have to put together an invoice, a little bit more complex invoice because you did a lot of things, more comprehensive, you can go back to your office, work off a computer, you can put all your you can sit down, put all your notes together. Like I said, I got it all in one file. I'll generate the invoice, and now I've got all the receipts, I've got the pictures, I've got the invoice, and I just zip that whole file up, and now I've got the whole thing. I hand it to them, here's the invoice, here's everything that we've done, boom, and they're like, wow, you got everything.
Yeah.
And now you do too.
Really nice. Yeah, now you do too.
You do too.
I'll tell you, so this came up yesterday, John. So yesterday, this is another use of my phone as technology. So as y'all can see, we're not exactly young anymore. And I was having a really hard time reading a particular. I was reading the back of a switch. I was trying to figure out. It's a long story, but it was a computer power supply. So I wanted to read what this particular. There were about 4 or 5 of them, and I was trying to match it to this particular monitor. Anyway,
Yeah.
long story short, I couldn't read the back of the.
Yeah, they got 3-point font on everything.
It's teeny tiny.
Yeah.
I took my phone
Yeah.
and I put the camera over it and I scrolled it out. It's
Right.
like an automatic magnifier.
Right.
Works great.
Right.
Another use that I use my phone for, my camera part of my phone all the time, is like using it as an inspection camera. Yesterday, again, I was hanging towel racks, or actually I was taking a towel rack off and I couldn't get my head underneath it to actually see, was it an Allen wrench? Was it a straight screwdriver? Was it a Phillips head? Stick the phone under there, snapped a picture. Lo and behold, it's an Allen head. Now I know what I'm using. Didn't cost
guys,
me a dime.
once again, it's just, I know a lot of you got younger guys out there use this stuff a lot. And it's great. It's great. I mean, I constantly use that phone for like everything now, for the work side of it. So
Do we have any other tips, Johnny?
I think it's just, not really, I think it's just, for me, it was just kind of getting in the groove of being disciplined to use that, and like I said, it's, it saves me a lot of time, and it keeps me organized. So,
Which means it saves you time
and money
and aggravation. Right?
That's right.
That's what we talk about here when we're sitting around the bar.
That's
that and plumbing problems.
More money for the bar.
All right, with that, Johnny, I think didn't you tell me you were trying to save some time, money, and aggravation on the next time the aliens land at your house? I think that's what you told me. Saying, can we get this thing over with?
I don't know,
quicker?
but they're snapping pictures.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Oh, geez,
That was
Johnny, I
a
got to
weird
eat sometime.
camera.
Don't talk about that. All right. Anyway, with that, we want to thank you for listening and watching, because don't forget, we are out there on YouTube as well. And we want to thank you for listening and watching to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. We do respond. We have a Facebook page at Handyman Pros and all that. Johnny, take us home, baby.
All right, folks. Use the technology you got. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.